From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report. I'm Fonda Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by our creative director, Tom Campbell.
How do you do?
I do very well, and you, I hope, too. And James St. James.
Hello, darlings.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah, good. All right. We're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow.
Wow.
We're going to start where we normally start, at number 10.
Number 10.
Well, I'm going to start where I normally start, and I'm going to talk about my old ass. And this time,
not again, disgusting.
It's actually a movie, My Old Ass. You guys are aware?
No.
It's the new Aubrey Plaza movie. It's sort of an independent film. I saw it in the theater. It gave me a lot of feels. I really recommend it. It's without giving away too much, but it's on Golden Pond because it's on beautiful lakes in Canada and aerial shots, whatever. It's love story. There's some a little bit of that kind of young love with on the edge, and Our Town, which is my favorite play ever, where Emily in Our Town, she gets to go back, and spend one day from her youth after she died, and she's so upset. The premise here is a coming of age. It's the summer where Elliot, this incredible actress, her name is Maisie Stella. The whole movie rests on her face and her reactions. She's incredible. She's 18. She's about to go to college in Connecticut, and it's her last summer at home. And she lives on this lake, and her parents own a cranberry bog. So it's just so beautiful and picturesque. No mosquitoes on film, but they know in real life. And she and her friends for her 18th birthday take mushrooms, and she visualizes herself at 39. And the personage
Very old.
of Aubrey Plaza. It is when you're 18. It is when you're 18.
I guess so.
And Aubrey Plaza, at first, it's just really cleverly that they get rid of a lot of the science of it out of the way, just kind of poo-poo it because, it doesn't necessarily make logical sense. Who cares? Poetically, it's beautiful to think of your older self trying to help your younger self. And in the end, the younger self ends up helping the older self. There's also this beautiful actor who plays Chad, but it's beautiful and mesmerizing. And I just really recommend it. Oh, Megan Park, young woman in her 30s, is the director. And it reminds me of the best of the 90s films where it's like they could just capture you. Again, the ones like on Golden Pond or something where it's just like the fabric of life is captured and celebrated.
I love Aubrey Plaza. I will see anything she is in. She's absolutely spectacular. Also, I just wanted to point out that Our Town is back on Broadway again, isn't it?
I believe so. Yes. You
might have to make a
It's in previews. I will go. I'll cry thinking about it. And Blake reminded me, Percy Hines White is the actor who plays Chad. And it's just, it's just that awkward summer. It really did bring me back. I grew up in a similar kind of landscape.
You grew up on a cranberry bog in Canada.
No, but it reminds you what's important and what's not important. And it's edgy and funny. It's Aubrey Plaza. It's incredible humor. Again, this Maisie Stella is a standout. Some of the characters are a little cliched, the mother, the father, but she's really a very independent woman who's like, she's full of that 18 to 24 when you can do anything kind of thing. Anyway,
do you buy that she's a young Aubrey?
They play about that. They're like, well, what about that space between your teeth? She says to Aubrey, and Aubrey goes, don't look at me, wear your retainer. They tick off in a very clever, poetic way how to get rid of the science. It's very well done. And there are lesbian makeout scenes, just added pleasure for people who are looking for a little girl action in rowboats and stuff. It's fun. I'm telling you, that's the part that reminds me of my youth. Where do you make out? You don't have like a bedroom to bring someone to. So it's like, oh, we're going to make out in a rowboat. Anyway, it's called My Old Ass.
Is it streaming anywhere? Will it be streaming?
I think Amazon bought it, but I saw it in the theater. I wanted to go out last night, so I went and saw it there. And you can watch it at home for sure, but it was nice. I had a really nice night, and that's rare.
I really thought it was going to be about yourself and some medical issue. I was like, I had no idea there was actually a movie.
You thought there was going to be visuals of Tom's old ass?
I want to pitch now then as an evergreen episode that we can bank this, the anatomy of Tom. Each of us, we can just go through all the doctor's appointments we've been to in the past 2 months.
Right. A medical, what would be the perfect date for a medically themed episode? I guess Day of the Dead. That would be good.
There you go. November 1st. That's a good one.
All right, so that's My Old Ass.
In theaters now.
Number 9, James.
Number 9.
Rest in peace, Mary McFadden. I don't know if everyone is aware of who she was. They called her the archaeologist designer of 7th Avenue. She was known for her timeless gowns that were done in Grecian, Romanesque, in Egyptian style. She had collections based on Chinese, ancient China, ancient Japan, Morocco. She beaded within an inch of their lives, bejeweled. She was known for her famous pleats that were sort of like Fortuny gowns or Madame Grey from the 1930s. She was beloved by the Uptown set. She was a cousin of Babe Paley's, so she had, instant access. She was always part of the Uptown set, but she was downtown too. She was very good friends with Marcus Leatherdale. I got to know her through Marcus. She was a true eccentric in the best sense of the word. She was married 11 times.
Wow.
Yes. And she had a very distinctive look. She was her own best model. She had hair severely parted in the middle in a bob. And I remember a makeup artist friend of mine one time was doing her for a photo shoot, and she handed him a ruler and said, "The eyebrows go in a straight line across the forehead starting here." And
Nice.
she did. She just had 2 straight lines on her head. But these gowns, it's hard to, they're so timeless. They could be in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They could be any time. And I cursed myself for not buying them in the 80s when I had the figure for them, because they were, they're sort of Grecian, toga-esque. Very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. She was a fantastic, interesting woman. She started out as the editor-in-chief of South African Vogue, is where she got her start. And she couldn't find any clothes in South Africa, so she would zip up to Madagascar and go fabric shopping. And that's how she started. And she would just sort of cut the holes in them, and they fell on the bias. And that's how she sort of realized. And so she would go shopping all through Africa. And that's how she got her first couple collections. But her clothes are just fantastic.
Has she been recognized in fashion sufficiently, do you feel? Or do you feel she's a little bit off to the side?
Interestingly, you don't hear that much about her. She was the head of the CFDA for many, many years. She was in charge of that. She was very beloved in the fashion community. I had a chance. I knew her daughter briefly in the 80s, Justine, and I had a chance to go to her home on the Upper East Side, and it was just museum quality antiques and artifacts and furniture and from all over the world. It was just unbelievable to see the art and the paintings that she had acquired. There's a book on her. It's like Mary McFadden Things, and it shows her like gowns and everything, but as well as the way she decorated her many homes. And she was just a fantastic, fantastic designer. Just Google Mary McFadden and just look at some of the gowns, because you'll just be blown away.
I don't want you to think I was disinterested. I just have my Mary McFadden straight eyebrows on.
Yes.
Rest in perfection, Mary McFadden. I am going to make the two of you very jealous now. Number 8.
Number 8.
The Roommate.
Yes.
Oh, you're kidding. You went?
Well, here's what happened. So last Thursday, I was in the kitchen making breakfast for the kids to get them ready to go to school. And a text came through from Ronan Farrow saying, was I doing anything this evening? Because there was an opportunity to go to the opening of The Roommate.
Stop it. Wait, you have to tell everybody that, because
go.
you just no, hold on. You just showed up the playbill. You have to tell what The Roommate is, because
Well,
I don't think
I will get it's all part of it. Okay.
Sorry.
Obeying James, because I must. The Roommate is a play starring Mia Farrow and
Patti Lupone.
Patti Lupone. Thank you. It's a 2-hander. But I don't want to. I was getting there, James.
Well, no, but sometimes like you throw up a picture of something and expect everyone in the radio land to know. And I just wanted to
that's
know.
fair. That's true. I did hold up the playbill, and then I was in the middle of telling this very name-droppy story.
I'm terribly sorry. You can start all over again if you want.
That's all right. I'll just plow on.
I think it's time for commercial break. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
So it's around 7:30. And Ronan Farrow just said, "Oh, are you doing anything? Come, I was on my way to New York that night, but I wasn't there yet." And he said, "Oh, it's the opening tonight. Come if you can." And I was like, goodness me. I was like, kids, you're on your own. Find your own way to school. Finish your own breakfast. I was looking up flights. And darn it, I mean, not having a private jet at one's disposal, the only possible flight, I think, left at 8 a.m. To get there in time. And this was 7:30 and I was still at home, didn't have a ticket, details, so didn't succeed in getting that. But I did go as arranged on the red eye. I was there the next morning doing some work with Ronan, and he said, "Oh, I can get you a ticket." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So very kindly, he got me a ticket with Lisa, our sometime correspondent here on the Wire Report, and off we went to see it. I know I got to talk about the play, but I just have to tell you, there was opening night, and then the next night, and then the night after that, Saturday, no performance because Mia Farrow had COVID. So to this point, there had only been two shows, and I felt so lucky to have seen it. Now I will tell you, it is incredible.
You're not saying that you gave me a COVID.
No, I'm not saying that. I didn't go backstage. I just went to the play.
And too many interruptions of your beautiful story. Go.
No, my story is a salad at this point, a chopped salad, barely coherent. But there's a lovely moment when the curtain goes up, as it were, because there isn't actually technically a curtain, but they both come out on stage. And you know that thing when someone's famous in a play and the audience just applauds when they walk on? And it's sort of annoying because you're like in a play, like So what they do is they have them come out at the very beginning. They have their names up, Mia Farrow, Patti Lupone in neon, and everybody applauds. And then they leave, and then they start the play. I thought it was
brilliant. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And I feel the whole play has little touches like that. And some of the reviews have been a bit like, well, they're better than the play. But two things. I cannot take my eyes off Mia Farrow. It's like extraordinary to me that she hasn't really acted this much lately. And she's so good.
Yeah, always.
I don't know what it is. It's
one
just
of the
totally
best.
there. But, and Patti Lupone is no shrinking violet, right?
No,
but, in a way, she's got her work cut out for her up against Mia Farrow. But extraordinarily, she plays this grumpy lesbian in a leather biker jacket who moves in and is Mia Farrow's roommate, sort of in the middle of nowhere. Don't mean to throw shade at Indiana, but it's sort of, Iowa, actually, not Indiana, Iowa. Anyway, it's in the middle of nowhere. And she's I've never seen Patti Lupone playing kind of rough, tough, kind of eye-rolling, just, it's really interesting. And
I've seen one of the memes going around is her in her leather jacket and Mia Farrow, and it says that this is Rizzo and Sandy as roommates like 40 years later.
That's funny.
I buy that too. And there's something else delightful about the play, because in a way, it feels like it's been written for Mia, because it sort of echoes her life. You get little like rhyming little bits of like, oh well, yeah, she is divorced, and yeah, she is on her own, and oh yeah, she does have a son who lives in New York City who is some kind of wunderkind, and it's just so really lovely and hilariously funny too.
And I hear Marsha Mason subbed for Mia Farrow on subsequent performances. And that's I wonder if they had that in mind, or if she learned it really quick. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, and she'd been working with me on her performance, I believe, like some sort of, I mean, not that I can't imagine she would need any guidance anyway.
Now, through Ronan, have you met Mia yet? Have you spent time with her?
No, I have not. No,
you did. There was no backstage. He dragged you backstage to meet them.
He did not, because he went to the opening night. The second night, and I always feel, not that I was invited backstage, but I always feel weirdly redundant at backstage. Like what, oh
my God, you were fabulous. And then what? Yes.
And kind of like, if it were me, I just assume, I'm probably wrong, but I just want everybody to leave. So I could just go.
No, you're done. You want, you need some
I give my all.
Well, how are the seats?
The seats
were you orchestra front row center?
There were really good seats, and the whole thing was just, it was magical and captivating. And if you can see it, it's at the Booth Theatre until December 15th. But I'm sure this could run for a long time.
Yeah, Tom, I'm depending on you to go and give us an update,
a proper review. Yes, exactly.
I'm getting thirsty for more theatre.
New York. All right, let's take a quick break.
Wait, because I do just want to say that it's an amazing season shaping up on Broadway. One of the best in years with Audra and Gypsy, and what are the other ones?
Sunset Boulevard's coming,
Sunset
right?
Boulevard with Nicole Scherzinger. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, and Death Becomes Her. I want to see.
Oh gosh, Death Becomes Her. Yeah, and I saw that Oh Mary was just extended through the new year.
Did you see the Jellicle Ball? Someone redid Cats as a kind of voguing thing.
I did. I didn't get to that.
I saw some things on Instagram, some bits and pieces of it. It looks fantastic.
I've heard that's amazing too.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. Drag Race UK is back September 26th. And of course, DragCon UK is coming January 10th and 11th. So you can get your tickets at RuPaul's DragCon.
.com.
There you go. Thank you. Blake, you got a question?
I do. On this day in 1946, this festival began after being delayed for 7 years due to World War II. Today, it's a premiere event held yearly with huge stars debuting new movies. What is it?
We'll have the answer right here on the Wow Report after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake.
And I asked, today is September 20th, and on this day in 1946, this festival began after being delayed for 7 years due to World War II. Today, it's a premiere event held yearly with huge stars debuting new movies. What is it, James?
RuPaul's DragCon. It was when Ru was still just a very young girl.
You're correct, sir.
Tom.
I think it's the Cannes Film Festival.
That's right.
Yes.
What's coming up at Cannes do we not know?
Oh, no. Apparently the Pam Anderson Last Showgirl was quite the hit, as was the Demi Moore.
The Substance, which is out this weekend, I believe.
Yeah. So there was an article in the New York Times, I think, about how the old actresses are making their big comeback.
The old broads are still making it.
Old broads, and it's like Pam Anderson and Demi Moore, and they both look 20.
Well, but to be honest, they do both look amazing. And I remember when I was 20 and Demi Moore was in the Charlie's Angels, and she was 40, and it was like her big comeback, and she looked amazing then. So
it's a messed up world, people.
I think she has drank the substance.
Yeah. What is it? The Anacrondy, or what? The blood of the young children. What is it? I
think it's Lemurian.
No. The Hillary Clinton is supposed to be the head of the.
Oh, stop! Stop! Like that air.
The blood of the young children to stay young. It's called anachrome.
Here you go with the Trump fake news.
You've never heard of the anachrome or whatever? Okay. Sorry. I'm a huge Trumper. I don't know if you know that or not. I'm voting Trump and voting Republican straight down the line.
You just changed our algorithm by saying all that. Now we're going to be in a different algorithm.
I'm trying to get some new people to listen to it.
We are counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow, and we've reached number 7. Tom.
Number 7.
I'm talking theater again, but I had that fantastic time in August where I saw so many plays and bored you by telling you all about them, but I was really moved. And I thought, why don't I see more plays here in Los Angeles? So I went to the Pasadena Playhouse, where I've had many, many, many wonderful experiences, to see a new staging and a new book for Cyrano de Bergerac.
Nice.
I always feel like the most I know about Cyrano de Bergerac is probably from cartoons and the Steve Martin Roxanne, where he had the big nose, and it was what was her name? It was the wonderful
Daryl Hannah. No,
yes. I didn't realize in my research Cyrano de Bergerac actually existed, but then there was a great piece of literature about him in like 1800s or something, and there's been all these different versions, throughout the years. Well,
wait, for the dummies, can you tell us who that is?
Cyrano de Bergerac. He was in the army. He was a good soldier, and he had a really, really pronounced, large, grotesque, some might say, nose. And as the story goes, he falls in love with this girl, Roxanne, but Roxanne has fallen in love with the beautiful Christiane. And so out of his love for Roxanne, he agrees to write love poetry to win not only her heart but her mind of Roxanne for Christian. So he's sort of his ghostwriter, the bud in his ear, if you will. And it's a torturous relationship because he's pouring all his love to Christian, and the shit hits the fan. And it's set in a time of war, and it reminded me of so much of the horrors of war, which isn't the main purpose of it. But they've done it. They have cast this with open blindly, like it's just, and everything in the theater now, it seems, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but is like gender bending and gender neutral. It's like it's shocking, and sometimes that takes me out, or I feel like they're trying too hard. Somehow I allowed this to happen, where I embraced it. I bought all the characters. The acting is incredible. The man who plays Cyrano de Bergerac, his name is Chiwetel Ejiofor. Most people know him from the third installment of Guardians of the Galaxy. Beautiful black man. What's interesting, and which again would normally bother me, is they don't give him a big nose.
Oh.
Well, now, but Blake, I do have to say that, come back over, that you know this story because every sitcom,
Yes.
every cartoon has done a riff on this, where there's somebody behind the wall feeding someone the lines to say to woo the girl.
I think it was an entire MTV show back in the day. Like
yeah,
a dating
probably.
show.
Yes,
Like, they just did it on Bob's Burgers recently, where
It starts off and the actors come from the audience, and they come on the stage, and the stage is basically a big green screen with bright lights. So it's very just deconstructed, but I got to tell you, the level of the acting and the intensity, and it's a really verbose part. So Chiwetel Ejiofor is just mesmerizing, and it's such a it's a classic tale because it creates this love triangle that's kind of super fraught for everyone involved, because who does she really love when she finds out the truth? Who is he, the Christian? And then of course and not doing the nose, it's like it probably would have been goofy if there was a nose. I know it's again, I was like, I rolled my eyes, it's like, well, where's the nose? And it's like, but it may have been too silly with it.
Well, but it draws you in anyway, right? That's what you're saying. That the nose isn't the barrier to entry.
It's just about not fitting in and not being part of and all that stuff.
Well, there was just recently, I think 2 years ago, a movie with Peter Dinklage as Cyrano.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that was it a musical? I can't remember, but you can find that streaming right now, or just go back and watch the Steve Martin Roxanne, because that's just wonderful.
It's paying through September 29th. I'm doing Fenton's bit, but if you are in the area, it's really worth seeing. And normally if I hear 3 acts, I get very nervous, but it perked right along, and some really outstanding performances. It's anachronistic in terms of like they're in war in France in the 18 blah blahs, but they're wearing stuff from the Army Navy surplus store. So it's a mishmash that way.
I'd like to see it set in space. I think that'd be hot.
That's the next one. Every 2 years, the new Cyrano.
Cyrano in space. All right, number 6, James.
Number 6.
Something spooky is It's spooky season, and I have a conspiracy theory for you. Now, just 2 weeks ago, last week, something like that, 2 hikers were hiking at Long Peak in Colorado, okay? And they were taking pictures. And when they got home, they developed the pictures, and people don't develop pictures anymore, but they were looking through the digital pictures that they had taken. And they saw on the side of a cliff, they saw this 20-foot creature.
Oh, back to it. Weren't they in Miami the other day?
No. This is in Colorado. And it's a 20-foot tall creature, startlingly white, like Elmer's glue white, like an electric snowball white, just white. And of course, it could only be what?
The Lemurians.
A Lemurian, yes. Now, the Lemurians, of course, are from they're an ancient race of people from the continent of Lemuria, and that sank around the time that Atlantis did as well. But we know for a fact, living in California, that they live underneath Mount Shasta, which you can see from the World of Wonder offices right here on a clear day. Under Mount Shasta, there's a series of tunnels and caves in which this giant race of, some say lizard people, some say that they're wizards. They're lizard wizard people, and they are 15 feet tall, 15 to 20 feet tall, and they wear white robes, and they live in these bejeweled, things. And I'm thinking, what's to stop the tunnels going all the way to Colorado? They could be all underneath all of America, is what I'm saying. Yes, Blake?
Mount Shasta is like near the Oregon border.
No, it most certainly is not. It's right there. It's right outside the window.
You mean Mount Baldy?
Oh, maybe Mount Baldy.
But leave it, mountains aside, like what do they do, the Lemurians? Are they very Lemur, very mindful?
Well, some say that they're probably the aliens that came to Earth to help populate, and they're just an ancient race that has lived this whole time underneath the mountains.
But they don't eat people or anything.
No. But when you run into them, they do telepathically import all sorts of knowledge. They're very
It's very Prometheus.
They look like Prometheus. I'm sure that the Prometheus people got them from the
lore.
The lore, yes. But the weird thing about this that makes me sort of like, what? Is that these hikers see this creature dangling off the side of a mountain, probably dead, probably injured, something like that. And what do? They don't go to the park rangers to help them. They go to the Daily Mail. They don't go to the police or to UFO hunters or whatever, but they go straight to the press, which is very strange. But there are pictures on it, Daily Mail and some other reputable outlets.
You said the Lemurians wear white robes, and all I can think about is, where do they get the robes? How do they keep the robes clean? Is there a store down there in those tunnels?
A lavenderia?
Is there a loom?
Anyway. The Lumerians at the lavenderia.
Maybe that's where the word loom comes from. They loom.
There you go. So it's just,
Well, I'm going to repeat it because you missed my big joke. Very Lemur, very mindful.
Yes. These segments are the ones that make the show, and they also make me question James's sanity. But let's keep it going.
All right. Well, let's go on then. Number 5. The internet does bring us extraordinary things. Like, I have learned so much. Whether any of it's true or not, I have no idea. But I just read the other day about this initiative or company called Reflect Orbital. And the whole idea behind Reflect Orbital is, well, here's what they say. The sun is a huge fusion reactor that supports all life on Earth. The sun's light contains 24 trillion times more energy than humanity uses today. So what do? Well, Ben Nowak, who's a 28-year-old inventor entrepreneur, he says sunlight is the new oil. And his idea is to launch a series of satellites, and this is going to happen starting next year, 57 satellites with mirrors that will then shine back the light of the sun to whoever wants to order it when it's nighttime, when it's dark, so that you can get things done at night. What do you think about that?
Well, just turn on a light, for Christ's sake. Why would you need sun when you can just,
solar energy? We have things to do.
Now you're entering into Trumpian phase where the windmills are causing cancer, and if you you have something solar, then in the middle of the night you won't be able to watch TV.
That's right. Yeah.
What if we told you that the Lemurians were the ones that invented this?
Well, then I'd say, by God, let's do it.
Well, actually, the interesting thing, I went down a little bit of a Google rabbit hole because in a way, it's a very simple idea, right? Just send mirrors up into space and then have them reflect the sun back down to Earth. Of course, needless to say, the Earth is round. It is complicated in terms of tracking the sun and aiming the beam, but it's actually quite an old idea.
How precise can the beam be? You say that a mirror from space can go to your house?
Well, Annie, if they can get a satellite beam to your phone, I mean, look at that. That's not big.
Alternative plan.
Okay.
What instead of a mirror way up there, how about just a magnifying glass down here? You know how you can make things burn with a magnifying glass?
Yes.
I wonder.
But you can't do it after dark.
Yeah, that's true.
But this screams of Mr. Burns blocking out the sun on The Simpsons to me. It seems like the potential for it to go wrong.
Go horribly wrong. Well, I mean, there is the normal day-night cycle of plants and animals and human beings to consider. You know, if the whole place is illuminated 24/7, that might not be so great, right?
I don't really see the purpose in it other than to
work harder, make more money.
We need our sleep or we go insane and start singing Lumineers. That's what I'm saying. You need your sleep.
The Lumineers are the band.
I thought that's what I had on my teeth. This is just a side though, when you made me think of it. When I was home in New Hampshire, lots and lots of people are embracing, because they have room for it, big solar panels. You know, they're adding to the systems these huge beds of panels that go slightly up at an angle, and then I just thought, because they're not the prettiest thing, they're not hideous, but not the prettiest thing, that you could create a cozy for them. Like I think that's our big business. It's like,
like a knitted sort of.
Yes. Would you like the sunflower option, or you want to do something a little more mid-century? How would you like to decorate your solar panels?
Well, Tesla actually invented solar panels that you can actually roof tiles. You make a roof tile and it looks like a roof tile, but it's actually a solar panel, and you can cover your whole roof in them, and bingo, you got a solar roof. But the last thing I'll say on this, and we'll see what happens next year in 2025, but Ben does seem a bit of a genius. He built a fusion reactor in high school, so just bear that in mind. And China also has this thing, the 3 Moons project. They're going to build 3 giant orbiting round reflectors to replace streetlights in China. So watch this space, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a break.
Progress.
Touch-Ups with Raven is now streaming on Y% Plus. Episode 1 features Lawrence Cheney, filmed at DragCon. Select Drag Race queens joined Raven to geeky and talk. It says shit here, but I would never say such thing. Sign up at wowpresentsplus.com. Blake, have you got a question?
I do. And you'll all know it, but it's a very important cultural moment, and I feel like it needs to be brought up.
Okay.
On this day in 1977, who jumped the shark?
Oh, well.
Well, we'll have the answer right here on the Wow Report after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back. Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake.
And I asked a really easy question, but it's a very important cultural moment, so I feel like it needs to be brought up. On this day in 1977, who jumped the shark?
Well, Tom, do you remember where you were when
I was in my living room at 19 Highland Avenue, Newport, New Hampshire, watching television on a Tuesday night, probably.
It was a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, probably 8:23 is when it happened. Yeah. Fonzie. Arthur Fonzarelli.
Henry Winkler, the actor. Which is Happy Days, which is a euphemism for when something has sort of overlived its usefulness, has gone off the tracks. But I still use that expression because someone wrote a whole book about it. You know, jump the shark. And young people today, 30 years and younger, 35 years and younger, 40 years, do not know it.
I think they know what it means, but they don't know where it came from.
Well, what actually happened in that moment?
The series Happy Days, after Ron Howard left, it started going downhill and it became very Fonzie-centric. And every episode was about Fonzie, and it sort of kept getting worse and worse. The show wasn't at its best.
It was just going on momentum, but it was still high rated. And so I think they went to Florida or something.
They had a very special episode, a 2-part episode where they went to Hollywood, and he goes surfing one time, and then he is on what was
water skis.
Water skis. Fonzie in his leather jacket is on water skis
and swim trunks.
And swim trunks, yes. And they had a tank with a shark, I think.
So it was like Evel Knievel meets Jaws.
Because this was when Evel Knievel was so big. So he jumps over on those water skis over a shark, and is considered a low moment of the series. And so that's where the phrase comes from.
There you go. Well, thank you. Okay, we're counting down the top 10 things of the week that make us go, wow. We've reached Number 4.
Number 4.
I have a rest in peace, and it's a very famous songwriter who may or may not be known by you guys. Do you know who J.D. Souther is?
Yes and no. When he died, there was they were playing some of his songs. I knew them, but now I've completely forgotten.
So that's a no.
I know him as a collaborator with the Eagles, and a collaborator and ex-lover of Linda Ronstadt's. And he wrote for both of them and lots of other artists. Bonnie Wright, the whole thing. He was one of the architects of the Southern California country rock sound that swept the nation. And he was sort of good looking. And, you know, as recently as, remember that show Nashville on ABC a few years back about the underpinnings of Nashville business
with Hayden Panettiere?
Yes. And he had a role in that, kind of playing himself, but like he was a record executive. But he co-wrote Heartache Tonight by the Eagles.
Oh.
New Kid in Town.
Oh.
Best of My Love.
Oh.
And then he did a duet with James Taylor that I love. That's exquisite. That makes me, it's called Used to Be Her Town. Used to be my town too. And it's all about divorce. And some of them are his friends. Some of them are her friends. Some of them understand. He also had one solo hit, like in 79, called You're Only Lonely Because You're Only Lonely.
Yeah.
Yes. It's kind of like a Roy Orbison kind of song. The song that I love so much of his, and Linda Ronstadt, just like stirs my soul, because I really feel like Linda Ronstadt songs are always kind of code for depression. And just trying to get through. And I think I was the most upbeat, happy kid, but I think underneath it all, I was always, in a panic state of portraying who I was. And so anyway, there's a song that he wrote for her. Most of Linda's albums, he talks about, he was playing this at the piano one night when they lived together in Beechwood Canyon. And he goes, what do you think of it? She goes, I like it. If you finish it, I'll record it. And he's like, ooh, I finished it the next morning. But you ever heard this song? Faithless love like a river flows, raindrops falling on a broken rose, down in some valley where nobody goes, and the night blows in like the cold dark wind. Faithless love like a river flows. That's just like, to me, that's like a montage of my emotional life from 0 to 21.
My storage unit is in Sun Valley.
I lived on Beechwood.
That is so beautiful, Tom. Can I just say, take a moment, you have a beautiful voice. And I can't believe just before this, James and I were celebrating the lyrics of the Black Eyed Peas. I want
to know what a broken rose is, though. That's where you lost me.
Raindrops falling on a broken road. I don't know. It's very folk and it's country and it has ding, 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 ding. You should listen up. Linda Ronstadt did it, Faithless Love. He also, he wrote Prisoner in Disguise. They're these kind of moody noir country rock songs. I love them. And I just,
now, how old was he and what did he die from?
He was 79. I think he died suddenly because he and Carla Bonoff, who's another singer-songwriter from the 70s, were about to go on tour. So it seemed like it happened rather quickly.
Carla the one with Meatloaf, didn't she? Was that?
No, that was somebody else. Carla Bonoff, and I'll go down a rabbit hole. Someone listening will know, but she wrote Someone to Lay Down Beside Me, which is a song that Linda Ronstadt covered and had a hit with. But it's just that period of 70s singers, songwriters, and you've seen those documentaries, but they were also intertwined. The Eagles and Linda Ronstadt and Bonnie Raitt, and they lived and before their fame drew them apart and threw them into arenas and changed the face of music
There's
forever.
that great David Geffen documentary on Netflix, I think, where they spend a lot of time talking about that period
he was a key player in all that too.
Yeah.
Blake is telling us that Ellen Foley was the woman who worked with Meatloaf. I gotta know right now. Not Carla Bonoff.
I remember in the 70s and 80s when everyone from the 20s and 30s was dying, all the stars, and then the 40s and 50s, and now it's the 60s and 70s people are all dying. And very soon it's going to be our 80s and 90s people that are on the chopping block, and it's just
it's going to be us.
Yeah, I think we're next to the food chain.
All right, well, let's go on while we still live to number 3.
Number 3.
Oh, dear God. I don't know if you guys watched or not. I hope everyone watched Oprah's AI special last week on ABC. If you didn't get a chance to watch it or DVR it, watch it on streaming because it is absolutely the most terrifying thing you will watch all year. She starts off by saying that a special about AI, we aren't going to be talking in technical jargon. We're just going to keep this as simple as possible so that everyone understands what is coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oprah, for that. And the scariest thing about it is the fact that it had to be made at all. You know that the media overlords, the billionaire 1%, and the scientific community were all saying, we need the biggest, most trusted person on the planet with the biggest platform ever to get this out there because this needs to be told. She starts off by saying, it's here and it's happening faster than we can stop it. It's happening faster than we can understand what's happening. And to that end, she talks to Sam Altman, the creator of ChatGPT, who looks like a ChatGPT creation himself. I don't believe he's a real person. I think he's an AI creation. He's very spooky. He's very calm and very cute. He looks like a cartoon. And the things that he says about the fact that, first of all, she talks to a number of scientists and a number of theoreticians, and she talks to some religious people, stuff, saying that this is the biggest thing that will happen in our lifetime. It's bigger than the internet. It's bigger than the phones. This is something that will change the world forever, and that the potential for good is unimaginable, but the potential for bad is also there. With any technology, there are going to be bad players, and we just have to accept that the premise will not outweigh the problems. And she says that, like, he was saying that, like, with every technology, that there's a lag time. Like when the car was invented, it took like 20 years before they invented seat belts and airbags and laws about things. And we don't have that anymore. That there's no lag time for us to get used to it, to get used to this technology. We don't have years, we don't have months, because it's happening faster than we can imagine. And that I took a whole bunch of notes trying to say what I wanted to say about this, but it is complex and it is scary, and it's just.
Did she have Bill Gates on?
She had Bill Gates. She had Sam Altman. She had a guy who is an influencer who has like 6 billion followers or something like that, who can explain to his followers. She had the guy who invented the infinite scroll, like when you're scrolling on Instagram, he invented that. And he said that when he invented that, he was trying to save time, but he invented something that has just wasted more time for everybody on the planet. And he's saying that that he understands that you go into these things with good intentions and they turn out terribly wrong. And that's what this has the very much potential to do. And it's
the Garden of Eden. It's the apple from the tree. It's the tree of knowledge.
What's the takeaway in terms of, I'm curious where it lands. I want to watch it, but just.
Well, where it lands is we have to, alert ourselves that this is happening. We have to understand it as much as we can, and we have to learn how to harness it for the right purposes, because once it gets to the point, which is happening at an accelerated space where the computers reach the simulation where they are smarter than us, is coming, and it's coming in the next few years. It's not a decade away. It's months, years.
Wow.
Yeah. But like I said, the scariest part is that everybody in the scientific community realized who can deliver this message, and it's Oprah with Bill Gates, with Sam Altman, with these people.
All right, I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah. Where do you watch it?
I guess ABC,
Hulu, I think.
Hulu, probably. Okay,
yeah. I don't quite know how to follow that. That's quite a All right, number two.
Sorry. Number 2.
Campbell's in the soup. This is for Tom.
Thank you.
Tom, Campbell's soup, after over 100 years, and having, let's face it, been made the most famous food company probably on the planet, thanks to Andy Warhol and his soup cans, they have decided to drop the name soup from Campbell's Soup. The new name, it's really exciting, the Campbell's Company.
Ooh. Company's
How
coming.
many market research experts and were needed to think of this.
The problem is there have been so many rebrandings in the 21st century with HBO Max, with Max. Meta, with with Twitter into whatever X, and 90% of these are horrible. And some of them are good. Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben have been rebranded, and that I can get on board with. But I think that HBO into Max is the worst thing that's ever happened to the company. And I think that
it just confuses it with Cinemax to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's porn. Yes. It sounds like porn to me. But Campbell soup. It's Campbell soup, for Christ's sakes. How do you think with the soup?
Well, it hits me the most personally, you guys. You guys can talk, because I always say when I go to the pharmacy, when I go anywhere, they're like, "What's your name?" I go Campbell, like the soup. And people are like, I'm sorry,
Campbell, like the company.
Otherwise, it sounds like Kimball or whatever. Campbell, like the soup. And so, what I believe is happening is Campbell Soup will still exist, but they also have Goldfish, and so they're creating a parent company. Do you remember years ago there was some company called Beatrice, and they'd be at the end of it'd be like a peach thing or a dole. Right. It'd be like, "We're Beatrice," which is really spooky. But some very successful rebrands. I'm not saying this will be. Dunkin' Donuts has become Dunkin'.
Okay.
Federal Express became FedEx.
Yes. Kentucky Fried Chicken became KFC.
No, I don't think that's a good one. I think that I want the cake. I want the bucket. I want the kernel.
Well, I just staying on brand.
Burger King. Remember when Burger King tried to be BK, and that flopped.
Yeah.
The CEO, Mark Klaus, he said that we will always love soup, and we'll never take our eye off this critical business. But today, we're so much more than soup. Because soup is what old people drink, apparently. So
what?
So the snacks grew by 13%, but the soup's only by 3%. So they're hoping perhaps that as people get much older, there'll be more a soup spike. But I bet you didn't know this. Campbell's own the goldfish crackers.
Yes,
the cheesy goldfish crackers, and that is set to become their leading brand within 3 years. So
what is his name? This guy who's saying this?
Mark Klaus, Clouse.
Mark Klaus, I curse you. I want you to fail. I want the company to fail horribly so that they go back to Campbell Soup. I'm sorry.
Too bad, because when I was home in New Hampshire fighting COVID, I got a delicious Campbell's the chunky soup with a spicy chicken noodle.
Oh, I've had that. That's good. I like the beef and potato one.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I grew up on the sirloin burgery ones.
Yeah, the sirloin burger.
While you're eating your bowl of soup, you can watch new episodes of Drag Race Philippines every Wednesday on Wow Presents Plus worldwide. Also, Drag Race España Season 4, Meet the Queens, is out now, and that comes September 22nd. And of course, RuPaul's Drag Race Series 6, September 26th. So there is so much to watch on Wow Presents Plus.
But wouldn't you think that the crackers go in the soup and they would rise exponentially together?
Or it should have been Campbell's soup and sandwich, and the sandwich could have been everything else. You know?
Yeah, it could be Campbell's crackers or
Campbell's soup to nuts. That would have been a nice way to expand.
And don't forget the jarred sauces. They're big in jarred sauces as well.
Oh, thanks for mentioning that. Appreciate it.
When we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go wow here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey, welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down, Tom, me, and James, and Blake. We've been counting down the top 10 things of the week that make us go
wow.
Yeah, wow. And we've reached number one, the big reveal.
Number one.
I just was scrolling endlessly as we're supposed to do, and I came upon something that truly, I think I physically, literally said wow. And it was footage of 80-something-year-old Jane Fonda going door to door in Michigan for Kamala Harris. And I love that woman. I know she's controversial. It's ridiculous. And and there's this footage of her talking to people and telling her, explaining why she's doing it. And she goes, she's stomped for other local, more other positions, but she's never campaigned and gone door to door for a president, and she feels it's really important. But Jane was doing those Fridays in DC for climate change. She really puts her money where her mouth is. There's so many reasons that Jane Fonda doesn't have to do that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Remember, wasn't she just a couple of years ago? She was protesting and she was being arrested. Remember,
every Friday she would go to DC, and it was a climate protest. But I can't. She's in great shape. It can't be easy getting around, and doing what she's doing. And she looks fantastic, and she always speaks passionately. And when you listen to her, she has amazing things to say. And it just made me feel a little lazy. I did Google how to like go door to door, etc., and I couldn't figure it out. Well,
my mother used to do that. My mom, into her 80s, would go door to door, and she would do the census every 4 years too. She would go door to door gathering census stuff. Yeah.
God bless. God bless. Anyway, that's my number one thing that made me go wow this week.
Very good. I was just so gobsmacked when I don't know if you saw the JD Vance interview with Dana Bash on CNN, where he said point blank, if I have to make up stories to get the media to pay attention to me, then I will. And she paused and she said, you just admitted on national television that you lied about the dogs and cats being eaten. And he said, if that's what it takes, then yeah. And I just thought, that's what we have descended to. I just could not believe that he just lies straight up about it.
He tried to backpedal the minute he said it, but he's just the worst communicator on the face of the earth.
When he said it, and then
I know.
Just this week, he said he was talking to a crowd of people, and he said that that he knows that these Haitians are there legally, but he's still going to refer to them as illegal aliens. Like what?
Racist.
How about we refer to your wife as an illegal alien? How about that?
Also, when he does interviews, he says, well, the thing is, James, he's just really nasty. He uses the name as like a weapon. Well, Tom, like I told you.
No, he's a petulant child. He's off.
Well, the big takeaway here is you gotta vote, right?
Yeah.
Vote. And thank you, Jane Fonda, for your talking.
God bless Jane.
That's all we got time for this week. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, James. Thank you, Blake. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.